Hi, it's Jen Taub. Do you have the attention span of a flea, the memory of a goldfish, and the critical thinking skills of a trumper? If so, be gone. This show is not for you. Thank you very much. Now, the rest of you, move in close. It's a big day, and I'm on fire, so jazzed because something incredibly wonderful happened last night. The Kennedy Center invited, or I guess Donald Trump thinks he presides over it. Donald Trump last night attended Les Mis, the musical, at the Kennedy Center, and so many good things to say about this. The first of which is the reception he received. Instead of being jam packed, the theater was, I would say, a third empty, not filled, seats not filled. And when he stood up on the balcony at his box seat, here's what happened. Tell me if you can hear the booing. There's booing. There's some of his supporters trying to applaud. In the very end, it was the beginning of a USA chant designed to sort of cover over the dissent the way a cheap cologne might mask Donald's rancid natural body odor. So that happened, but that's not great. I mean, so what if people are booing Donald Trump? That's no biggie. But what happened before that is the best ever. Some lovely, dolled up, fabulous drag queens came to the Kennedy Center. When they arrived and came down into their very good orchestra seats, they received the reception that they have earned for making our lives more joyous and wonderful. Here we go. So this brings me joy. And there is more. So I don't know if you know much about Les Mis. I am a big musical theater buff. I guess for a variety of reasons, including that my inside gender identity is definitely a gay man. And even more though. Let me just tell you, love musical theater, love drag queens. I love how drag queens give people who identify as female, which is me. I just mentioned I have an inner gay man, but my real external gender identity is a cis female, and I am a feminist, and I like to be femmy sometimes. And I felt that drag queens, as well as femme lesbian women, give you that opportunity to be a little ironic and over the top on your display. So I am a huge, huge lover of drag queens as well as musical theater coming together at Les Mis. Fabulous. So here's the deal. You may know a little bit about this musical. No, it's not about the French Revolution. It's about an uprising, I believe, after, and I know after the revolution. And I'm especially fond of this musical because when I was at law school at Harvard, I found law school a little boring, to say the least. I needed to enhance it with a little artistic, I don't know, indulgence, immersion. So I was an intern at the Wang Center in Boston, which is now has moved to a different location, which is, I think, called Boston on Broadway. But the Wang Center housed the Boston Ballet at the time and was a place when Broadway shows toured that they would go. And so my job was, as a theater intern, to help balance the books, the incoming money from box office, then the money that would go out to pay the theater company and the union workers and so on. And this was done, if you can believe it, although they had spreadsheets on Lotus, my work was actually done with a calculator on the desk. And I would go through this printed out spreadsheet. And if I was off by even a penny, I had to start over. And you know me, I love shit like that. My other job was to walk around the empty theater and pick up things people left behind. Friends, look for your umbrellas, your eyeglasses. People leave those things behind. And if no one claimed them, then every few months, it was my job to take a box of items and walk over to the women's shelter and donate them. I had an amazing job. Now, of course, the best part about this job was free tickets. Well, let me say the best part about the job is watching a space fill up and transform from just an empty room into magic. There's nothing for me more fulfilling than watching that transformation. So, one of the shows, I think you know where this is going to go, that played the year I was an intern at the Wang Center was Les Mis. So I have seen this musical more than any other musical. And by chance, I have also seen the dance company I love more than any other dance company. They were there that season too. It was Alvin Ailey. And so I have seen what is my favorite dance, Revelations, live countless times. So that was a magical year for me. So, okay, let's go back. We didn't need to talk about my life so much. Let's go back. But I know Candy Carroll loves when I do that. I hope you're here, Candy. So the thing about Les Mis is there is Jean Valjean, who is a former criminal who was poor and stole some stuff. He was on the run, and he's, hidden his identity. And then there is his nemesis, Gelvert, the sort of French police officer who's hunting him down. So let me share with you, when Donald Trump is going into Les Mis, a musical that he says he adores, a question that he was asked by the press.
Question on the musical. Have you seen the musical before, and do you identify more with Jean Valjean or Javert?
Oh, that's a tough one. That last part of that question, that's tough, I think. You better answer that.
That is not a tough question. Jean Valjean is the hero of the play. Javert is a monster. Not a tough one. Not a tough one. Not a tough one. Melania, of course, let's see what she does when he tries to toss the question over to her.
No, I've seen it. We've seen it a number of times. It's fantastic. I thought it was just about our first choice. So that's what we got. And we have others coming. Other great ones are coming.
Phantom of the Opera.
So the joke going around on social media about Melania is that the reason why she didn't speak wasn't because she didn't know the answer. The reason why she didn't speak is that some of the joke is that her contract only requires a certain number of public appearances, but he didn't pay for her to play a speaking role. Okay, so let's go from the theater to political theater and talk about the bullshit that the Trump administration is trying to pretend is reality when it comes to what's going on both in Los Angeles, where they're using it as a test case so they can install military rule across numerous Democratic cities in the country so they can normalize the use of military force, including the Marines, to hunt down and kidnap and not provide due process to hardworking residents of this country who are not criminals, who are in violation of our immigration laws, but that's a civil offense. Ask yourself, even with criminal offenses, if people who are questioned, let's start with civil offenses. If someone has not paid their taxes and they owe something, this happens a lot, including high profile people. I remember Tim Geithner, before he became Treasury Secretary, owed something on his taxes and he had to pay, right? There's Donald Trump, who's been under audit for years. Do we send in a force, whether it be something like ICE or the National Guard or the Marines, to assist the apprehension of people being served with some kind of, you need to show up to see the IRS, or even situations like Donald Trump, who was indicted and accused of numerous crimes and at one point convicted? Do we send in force against them? There is not just a problem with how we enforce our immigration laws or how we don't provide a pathway to citizenship, but there's a double standard, and how people who are white and well-connected and people who are brown and have less power are treated in our criminal justice system. And this is a passion of mine. You know, I've written about it. It is a key feature of the book, Big Dirty Money. But let's look at the images. Let's look at what is actually going on. Jacob Soboroff was out. He's an MSNBC contributor, probably NBC as well. He was out in the fields in California, where people who are not citizens, who are here, maybe some are undocumented, maybe some have some documentation. I don't know the status of these folks. These are the folks who pick the strawberries that we eat, people who pick cabbages, people who are responsible for harvesting pistachios and other nuts, which are not just distributed throughout the United States, but throughout the world. This is what our government did, hunting people down in the fields. You need to see this.
Strawberry field in Ventura County, California. I'm in Oxnard. This is one of the beating hearts of the Californian agricultural economy. California's economy is the fourth largest economy in the world, and the agricultural industry here is literally worth billions of dollars. There are thousands of farms in Ventura County, tens of thousands of farm workers, and this also happens to be the latest location in a series of immigration enforcement actions by the Trump administration and federal agents. Yesterday, video emerged and reports emerged of ICE chasing farm workers in fields just like this. Earlier today, we spotted a CBP helicopter flying over this area. The same helicopter, according to flight tracking information that we had seen down over the Metropolitan Detention Center in Los Angeles earlier in the week. Local officials here, including the mayor of Oxnard and the police chief, have spoken out publicly to let people know they don't believe these immigration enforcement actions are in the best interests of the public safety, nor of the workers here. There have also been protests in the wake of this in Ventura County, and just like Los Angeles to the east of us, it really has struck fear into the hearts of so many people here.
What are we doing? What are we even doing? And I will say, I know I talked about the economic aspect of this, the food supply. That's not the most important thing. This should not be happening in our name. We should be speaking out about this every day. And this should be the priority of all our members of Congress and senators, regardless of their parties. And so is it any wonder, given what ICE is doing, how unpopular they are? You've got to hear this cheer from a football club. I believe this was in California. The crowd, crowds often have different shouts for their teams. Listen to this one. It goes on and on. They're saying F ICE, but they're actually saying fuck ICE. I'm trying to clean up my vocabulary. So that is a fantastic cheer. Not my favorite one. My favorite one, as you know, was the one I heard at one of the peaceful marches in Los Angeles, which is Trump escucha, estamos en la lucha. I love that one. That means Trump, we're in the struggle or we're fighting you or something like that. It is my favorite. So, as noted, ICE is super unpopular. Donald Trump's immigration policy is now very unpopular. His so called big, beautiful bill is unpopular. Now, I want to share with you, and we're going to move on to some Senate hearings, but I want to share with you what a joke Pam Bondi is. And I think you know this already. She's our attorney general. And I think I should call her Pam Bondage because she wants to treat people in this country like they should all be prisoners. And she doesn't care about due process. So she was questioned by the press yesterday regarding how this administration seems to have a double standard, where on the one hand, when Donald Trump was president, when at the end of Donald Trump's first administration, before he had to hand over the White House to Joe Biden, that he was there watching the rebellion, the insurrection against the United States, the violent attempt to prevent, to obstruct the counting of electoral votes, the official action in the joint session of Congress that needs to take place in order to pass on officially the presidency that would then set up January 6th, right? And then it would be January 20th. And we know that what Donald Trump did is sat on his hands. He watched it from his dining room on the television and did not call in the National Guard. So, of course, everyone's asking, why in the world, when we literally have the LAPD saying they didn't need the National Guard, when we have gone through the statute already saying the statute that he invoked does not actually give him the authority to bring in the National Guard without the governor's say so, even if you think it fits into that third prong where it is that the president doesn't have the power to enforce the federal laws, he still needs the governor, right? The other for approval to federalize the National Guard. The other two options, right, still need governor's approval, but that would have to be an invasion by a foreign country. They have not invoked that, or a rebellion. They have not said that. So let's just face it. What they're doing in Los Angeles is overreaching and unlawful, right? And so, of course, people are saying, well, why did Donald Trump jump the gun and overreach when it comes to Los Angeles when he did nothing on January 6th? So, of course, Pam Bondage has asked that question.
A double standard with the president pardoning all these people who attacked police officers on January 6th in his first day in office. How do you answer that criticism?
Well, this is very different. These are people out there hurting people in California right now. This is ongoing, no longer. We're going to protect them. We're going to do everything we can to prosecute violent criminals in California.
Of course.
Hey,
more
Katie.
predictably performative bullshit from Attorney General Pam Bondi. Folks, do not let her gaslight you into thinking that they are even close to being the same thing. What happened on January 6th at our United States Capitol was a travesty. The fact that Donald Trump pardoned them is even worse, not to be totally shocked coming from a convicted felon himself. But January 6th, those insurrectionists, they meant to do harm to the occupants of the United States Capitol. They certainly did harm to our law enforcement. The GOP, such hypocrites when they sit there and they say, oh, but we back the blue. Clearly not when they're insurrectionists. What's happening in LA, people? Those are lawful protests. Trump is trying to be a provocateur. He's trying to bring in the military and the National Guard so he can create more violence and he can justify bringing in more harm. Let's not fall for that. Let's not take the bait. But more importantly, Pam, just tell the truth.
I love it. You know, that's a stitch if you know something about TikTok. And that was my dear friend, Katie Fang, who, as you know, is now over on the Midas Touch Network, and she is killing it. We love Katie. Now, someone else I love is Sherilyn Ifill, who has been sharing this video over on Blue Sky, reminding us of what Katie is saying and what Pam Bondage is avoiding. I need to show you this. This brings me PTSD. It's stressful. So you can look away if you want to, but this is what happened on January 6th.
Even Trump, we are still taking metal, sharpened objects, missiles to include bottles and rocks, and hand-thrown chemical-grade fireworks. This is now effectively a riot.
1349 hours declaring it a riot.
Okay. So that is what, as you probably remember, just one little snippet of what happened on January 6th. And if you watch the hearings, when I put together the video, you really know what went on. You know that the vice president of the United States decided to stay on the Capitol campus because he was afraid that he would never be able to get back on and finish the business he was there to do, to unveil, to count the vote, the ministerial role, but still necessary under the Constitution. You also know that he didn't trust anyone but his own team. He didn't want to get in someone's car. What do you think about that? You know this story. So let's compare that to what's actually going on in Los Angeles. And to do that well, I'm going to give you this little clip from Chris Hayes because he lays it out.
He's also scared of mass public opposition to him. That's why his own White House is outright lying about the protesters.
The president, as I just answered, supports the right of Americans to peacefully protest. He supports the First Amendment. But that is not the majority of the behavior that we have seen taking place in Los Angeles.
I'm sorry, that's just completely divorced from reality. It's more like the opposite of true. The overwhelming majority of protesters in Los Angeles have been peaceful. You, of course, would not know that from watching Fox News, which has been breathlessly covering the protests like a scene out of RoboCop, as if Los Angeles was at risk of burning to the ground any second, banners proclaiming rioters wreak havoc in L.A. Violent anti-ICE protests spread nationwide. They're still at it, even now, days after the demonstrations died down, like looping the same things burning that were burning 4 days ago. And again, Donald Trump, who watches Fox all day, is pickling his brain in the brine of these lies. The White House even put out its own propaganda video, selectively editing a handful of moments from about 2 city blocks to make it look like the entire city of Los Angeles is burning to the ground. It's not. And yes, people have thrown bricks. They've lit cars on fire. You can see that. They shouldn't do that. They also don't speak for the vast majority of demonstrators who have been entirely peaceful and playing music and dancing and shouting slogans and engaging in prayer. And those people should keep demonstrating peacefully.
That's right.
This is why the right to, quote, peaceably assemble exists and is enshrined in the very First Amendment of the United States Constitution. We, the people, don't wield the power of the state. What the people have is the ability and the right to go out in the streets and to yell and to petition their government and, yes, peaceably assemble. You are allowed to publicly disagree with the government in this country. In fact, the American tradition of protest predates America itself. It's part of what gave rise to America. We all learned about the Boston Tea Party in school, which, by the way, was a lot more property damage than what we see in Los Angeles.
Okay. So, thank you. You know where this brings us. When Chris says the right to protest matters, you know I'm going to bring up this page from No King's Day. In America, we don't do kings. We don't have leaders who bring out military rule, a military force against protesters. We don't have leaders in America who bring out military force against civilians. We're not just talking about the National Guard and their rubber bullets, which actually can be fatal and very damaging. We're also talking about live ammunition of Marines on our streets. Not okay. I've got a little more for you, though. I want you to see this picture. I know we had Ezra Levin in last week, and I can't even believe what he and Liam and everyone else have accomplished here. This is the No King's Day protest plan for Saturday, and this is just a map of the United States. What I heard was that pretty much anywhere you are physically seated in the United States, you can literally within a 30-minute drive get to a No King's Day protest. You really can. That is the situation. And there might even be more. I know that in a lot of places, you're going to have trouble choosing which King's Day protest do you go to. My goodness, it's an abundance of riches. And that also brings me to this. As you know, you can have this poster. It's pretty easy to get it. It's right on I'm going to give you a link to it right now. If you want that poster, it's free. Just you can pull up the PDF file and email it to a printer, or you can take a smaller one, the 8.5 by 11 one. We have both available, and you can just print it on your own printer. That's what you can do. But I have some other really exciting news. And I'm going to give you, first I'm going to do this. Hold on one second. I'm going to give you the link. I want to do this properly so that you can, oops, I just had it. So you can print this poster. Okay, guys. It's a whole, I'm giving you a whole folder, the whole We Can Do It art folder, so that you can choose which one you want to do. But actually first, I think this is easier for me just to, I'm just going to share this link. Here we go. I'm going to drop this link for the big poster in the chat. And you can also go to my page here, right here on YouTube. Now, I've got something super exciting. Michael and I decided we wanted to try to wear t-shirts to our rally with the We Can Do It F fascism on the back. And I can't get them by this Saturday, but I have ordered over on Zazzle t-shirts for us. And then it dawned on me, why don't I use Zazzle as my store, not just for t-shirts, but for mugs? So a couple things. I set up the Zazzle store where you can, if you want, get a t-shirt. I think they're $16. I'm not sure. I don't think they're super expensive. And you can get a t-shirt. And by this evening, you will also, my friends, be able to get a Prism mug. I'm just trying to work that out. But here is a link to our store. It's called Michael Jen. I'm super excited. I saw that people took the design and also used Michael's design to make mugs. You can do that. They just have it done through the store. Also, a friend of mine made, I think, business cards with the fuck fascism on it. I'm super excited for what you can do with that. So again, you see that in the link. Also, and I'll re-announce it tomorrow, we are going to have the mugs. And please, Deb, and please, Jason, don't buy it. I'm going to send it to you. I have your address. Okay, so I'm super excited. And this was the, you might see this. This was the prototype, but Michael's made a better version, much brighter, much easier to read. So we will have that for sale. I can't believe I'm selling shit. Okay, but let's now talk about some other stuff besides what's happening on No King's Day. Pete Hegseth, who you know was testifying before a congressional committee of the House 2 days ago, yesterday had to face grilling in the Senate. And it was the Senate Appropriations Committee where he was feeling the heat. And I want to share this with you. I got two different clips. This one's pretty flippant embarrassing on its own, but I got a backup after this. Let's play it.
Just specifically, Mr. Secretary, what is the authority that the administration is using to deploy active duty Marines to California neighborhoods? What authority?
Senator, the president has constitutional authority in order to support.
Cite the provision of the Constitution.
I'd have to pull up the specific provision, but our Office of General Counsel, alongside our leadership, has reviewed and ensured in the order that we set out that it's completely constitutional for the president to use federal troops to defend federal law enforcement.
Look, I'd like to know the specific constitutional statutory authority. The president made it clear that he relied on Section 12406 of Title 10 with regard to the National Guard troops. I need to know the authority that he is relying upon in terms of active duty Marines being deployed to California neighborhoods.
Senator,
so you'll follow up with me?
Yes, Senator, but there's
Thank
plenty
you.
of precedent of active duty troops being used to support law enforcement. Historical precedent.
I'm not disputing that. I am just asking you to cite the authority under which the active duty Marines are being deployed to California
It's in the order, ma'am,
neighborhoods.
but we'll make sure we get it to you as well.
Thank you.
Really? This man is deploying active military force on the streets against civilians. And it's like, oh, my lawyers told me it was okay. Come on, man. Really? You don't know or you don't care to say what statute you are using to invoke this? Does it surprise us? I don't think so. This is a guy who was using a signal chat to announce the coordinates and the timing of a bombing effort. Not great. I got another for you because this is when Lindsey Graham confuses me. He is hot on a particular point, attacking Putin and kind of condemning Hegseth. And you have to wonder, what the fuck, Lindsey? Why don't you do this more publicly? Why don't you do something? Let's go.
What do you think, Secretary? Is he going to stop?
Remains to be seen, Senator.
Well, he said.
Okay, hold on. He's asking about Vladimir Putin. Okay, let's play.
What do you think, Secretary? Is he going to stop?
Remains to be seen, Senator.
Well, he says he's not. This is the 30s all over. It doesn't remain to be seen. He tells everybody around what he wants to do. Are you familiar with his military buildup in terms of?
I don't know if you heard that. The part where Lindsey said it's the 1930s. He's comparing what Putin is doing to the 1930s, and he's likening him to Hitler. Hitler's invasion of Poland and so on, precursor to World War II. He is scoffing at Hegseth. I don't understand Lindsey Graham. He could do more. And let me just be clear. It's not just Lindsey Graham, and this is a hard part. It's not just Lindsey Graham who I don't understand who could do more. I'm also deeply disappointed in 16 Democratic senators who themselves, when there are troops, active duty troops in the streets, when there are National Guard unauthorized in the streets, when Donald Trump is throwing himself a vulgar military parade, when there are raids that are violent and lawless against people in this country, and when there are also citizens being detained under what authority, I don't know, by the National Guard. We're hearing that. When this is happening, 16 Democratic senators thought it was their priority and important to vote in favor of that terrible crypto bill that happened yesterday at 2 p.m. And it's unforgivable. Why are they giving Donald Trump that win? Why is it so important? Several of them, and I have told you this, are not even up for re-election anytime soon. And one of them, the one I'm most disappointed in, is my Senator Alyssa Slotkin. Inexcusable. What is this about? Is it about the money Are they telling us they need crypto klepto money so badly as a party that we can't win? That means we've had a kleptocratic takeover of America. Fucking admit it. I am upset. Yes, can I face the reality of how much money has corrupted our politics? But at a time like this, when Gavin Newsom is getting on television and saying this is a problem, why the fuck didn't Chuck Schumer and Kristen Gillibrand, who is leading this effort, say, you know what? As much as we want to pass this bill, we're not going to do anything until Donald Trump takes the troops out of the street. And you know what? If they fucking did that, these crypto billionaires could have put pressure on Donald Trump. People don't use the power they have because it's one thing or the other, guys. And just back this up with me. Either these crypto lobbyists have the power to destroy these Democratic senators the way they destroyed Sherrod Brown. And they have so much power. If that's the case, they have so much fucking power. And that's why they're bending. Even someone like Slotkin, who's not up until 2030. They need so much money from them or as a party, or they fear them so much. They have so much fucking power that they had to vote for this. If that's actually the case, then these guys actually have the power to pressure Donald Trump to get the fucking armed forces out of Los Angeles if they want to, if this is how important this bill is to them. On the other hand, if they're not that powerful, then what the hell are you doing, Chuck? And we deserve an answer because I am sickened by this. So let me just say, I am a Democrat. I'm going to always vote for the Democratic Party, but it's reasons like this, when they do shit like this, they are hand in hand with the Trump administration. They are handing him a win. I would never do that. And I swear to you, I am infuriated. I almost didn't want to talk to you about this because, you know, criticizing the Democratic Party hurts the party, right? And it does. But I'm not here as a propagandist. If you want propaganda, if you want to go someplace where someone will never criticize Democrats, leave. Just like I said, if you have the attention span of a flea, the memory of a goldfish, or the critical thinking skills of a Trumper, this isn't the place for you. And also, if you want me to ignore some of the difficult parts of what's going on in our political system, this isn't for you. But I guarantee you, when you come here, you won't get lies. You won't get the world airbrushed. There will not be smoke screens here. I'll tell you the truth and the real problems, because when we don't face these, we're not being honest with each other. We need to know what is actually going on. Now, speaking of what's actually going on, I got two more things before Crazy Town. Scott Bessent was before the House Ways and Means Committee, very powerful committee, and he got grilled yesterday. And I really enjoyed this. Let me share with you what Rep. Scozzi said.
And created. Now, you don't agree with the CBO. We've heard that several times. You also disagree with the Committee for Responsible Budget, who said that there's going to be a $3 trillion deficit from this. You disagree with that also, right? Yes. And you disagree with the Yale Budget Lab. You went to Yale. You don't agree with the Yale Budget Lab. They say there's going to be a $3 trillion deficit from this. Do you disagree with them also?
There are a lot of things I disagree with Yale on these.
Do you disagree with the Penn-Wharton budget model, who said there's going to be a $3 trillion deficit from this bill?
Yes.
Do you disagree with Elon Musk, who you supposedly do get along with now? It will massively increase the already gigantic deficit to $2.5 trillion and burden American citizens with crushingly unsustainable debt. Do you disagree with Mr. Musk on that issue?
Yes.
Do you disagree with Ray Dalio, who said that this is unsustainable?
I agree with Ray Dalio that we need to get our fiscal house in order.
Do you disagree with Jamie Dimon, who says it's going to cause a crack in the bond markets?
I met with Mr. Dimon the other day, and he wasn't necessarily referring to government finances.
He said there's going to be a crack that's going to take place in either 6 months or 6 years. And let's ask you, when do you think that's going to happen?
I believe he was referring to market structure.
Do you think that do you disagree with Mr. Fink from BlackRock, who said this is going to be an unsustainable problem as well?
I believe that we have to get our fiscal house in order.
Let me just ask.
A series of experts, and Bessent just doesn't fight back, just keeps saying, ignoring it. How shameful. How shameful that he can sit there and eat that. But there's more. Let's listen to one more Besant clip. 1 second. Here we go.
Reacted positively is when the administration is in retreat from key policy areas. I want to say, given your successful past, isn't this embarrassing?
Is there a question there, sir?
There's a question. Isn't this embarrassing?
Oh, is it embarrassing? Well, I'm sorry, Congressman, but you seem not to have seen the economic data. The GDP growth has been quite substantial. Job growth is solid.
GDP growth is half what it was last year, sir.
The job growth is solid, and we had
job growth is a third what it was all last year, sir.
No. And private sector job growth especially. And if you'd like to talk about inflation, would you?
The inflation has been coming down. Just the inflation is good so far. We will see every economic thing I read, which is much every day, suggests the impact of the tariffs has not hit yet.
Well, why don't we look at the data rather than the hysteria, which is how I made my career.
Oh, let's look at the data, not the hysteria. That was that hearing. Are you embarrassed? Doesn't answer that question. Friends, as we wrap the show for today, I want to look at the chat now because I've been a bit busy and see what kinds of comments and questions you have as we get closer to tomorrow, Friday the 13th, for those who are superstitious, leading into Saturday the 14th. Oh, there's one more thing that's not great. Sorry. I don't know if you heard, but the U.S. is apparently withdrawing our people from Iraq. I don't know why, if this is an effort. Some people think it's an effort as part of the put pressure on the negotiations with Iran, making Iran think that they might be under attack. I'm just alerting to you to that. I'm hearing from Josh Bakke, Chuck is done next year. Okay, I hope so. Lisa Marie, yeah, it is bad. It is bad. Oh, thank you, Zoe. Great show. Okay. Any questions for my crowd? If not, we are going to do our crazy town. Oh yes, we can hear Jason's tune. You hear Jason's tune every day. Nick, don't you hear it? I always play it. Let's do Crazy Town and then at the end of the show, Jason's tune. Let's go. Oh. Here we go. Crazy Town is how happy I am that we have this contrast between Donald Trump being booed at the Kennedy Center, whereas last year when the vice president, Kamala Harris, attended, she was cheered, not just the vice president, but the candidate for president. In an alternative world, and sometimes it makes me sad, but we would have had Kamala Harris. And you know what? I'm hoping that after this disastrous Trump administration, if we can get through this, America will be stronger. I mean, my fingers are crossed that somehow they use the 25th Amendment against Trump. I'm always hoping the Republicans will wake up and figure this out, but they won't. That party is dirt. That party is dirt to me. And let us play the exit music. I will see you tomorrow morning.
Hello, pretty and we are together in this democracy we work for. And again, welcome to the Jen Taub Show. Hello, prison mates. It's the Jen Taub Show. Well, welcome everyone. Let's learn about what is happening in politics yesterday and today. There was hope, and we are together in this democracy we work for. And again, welcome to the Jen Taub Show.